Hello everyone, I am Sahil, the founder of Vakils, and I, on behalf of my whole team here, welcome all the viewers to our first and most definitely many more of these interviews at Juris Talks Professionals. Today we are pleased to have among us Advocate Piyali Sengupta ma'am. Miss Sengupta is currently an advocate of the Calcutta High Court and a posthumous member of the Bar Library Club with an illustrious career spanning over 20 years in the profession. She specializes in tax matters and service matters, often representing the Kolkata Municipal Corporation and the Public Service Commission. Most notably of all, alongside being a woman role model in a field where the representation of females is mirrored in professional settings and places of responsibility, she is also a first-generation advocate who has made it into places with nothing but hard work and merit. It is an honor and a privilege to have her presence among us, ma'am. Firstly, hi ma'am, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, ma'am. Thank you so much for choosing to do this interview today with us. Before anything, ma'am, I would like to ask you, what made you choose law as a career?
Since my childhood, I had a zeal and desire to fight for justice. That made me choose the profession of law, which I have done after my graduation in zoology honors.
Right. So, was there any inspiration behind your choice, or any role model that you looked up to for this particular choice?
My role model was my mother.
That's great.
Because she has always fought for justice in her career, in her daily life. So she always encouraged me. And the second role model was my brother, who has inspired me to do law.
That's beautiful, ma'am. And ma'am, how did your journey look like in the very beginning phases? Like, let's say in the starting of your academic life, did you have absolute clarity about what you're going to pursue in future?
No, see, the academics and the professional life is very different. So my entire journey, starting from joining this profession and where I am today, was full of struggle.
Right. So, like you said, there was a lot of adversities involved. So how would you describe your journey, or like maybe a roadmap of your journey, and how difficult it was for you as a first generation advocate?
Being a first generation lawyer, I had no more idea about how to approach towards profession. Whatever I have done is only in a way of learning process. And one thing which I understood, if you are a first generation lawyer, apart from hard work, there is no other option. You have to create your career on your own.
That actually very nicely builds up to the next question as well. With the female representation, especially in places of responsibility, though there are a number of female advocates now coming up, their position in places of responsibility is still very less. And there exists this very clear but unsaid glass ceiling which restricts women to enter into these positions of responsibility. So how do you feel where you stand right now? The way you have pierced it to a certain extent, how was that journey, or what did you learn much from that process?
See, now the time has changed. Now females are more into this profession. Like when I joined, and if you ask me the numbers of female lawyers today, there is a huge difference now. For what I believe, being a female advocate, you have to set your own principles. Like you have to maintain your dignity on your own. That is the more appropriate word I will use. That self-respect and dignity is the only key point to lead into this profession.
Great, ma'am. Of course, that is absolutely true. And I believe it goes both ways for every one of us.
See, it's you. You
Yes.
can make your own boundaries. It's you who you can decide your own principles in life.
Correct. Absolutely.
That way you can lead your life in a better manner.
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. So with these, what would be, let's say, for a new advocate who's joining in, and for both ways, like what would be the common hindrances that a first generation lawyer or a first generation female lawyer could face, and how different would you believe their experiences and expectations will be from one another?
See, if you ask me as a first generation lawyer, or rather if I say that lawyers coming from upper middle class family or middle class family, because in our profession you have to give the time limit of your schedule, to the extent like you have to work till late night in seniors chamber. For females it is little difficult, because if you are coming from a background of a middle class or upper middle class, in the initial days you might not have your own vehicle. You have to travel by a public transport. So initial days are little difficult, but I would say if you are determined, there is nothing that which can, make yourself get the success in this profession. And the being a first generation lawyer, sometimes the lawyers feel that getting new cases, getting a good chamber, being aware of the atmosphere of this court, and sometimes to decide what would be the field you want to be specialized. These are the things the first generation lawyer faces, but it's not that difficult. Maybe it is easier for a second generation or third generation lawyer, but for a first generation lawyer, you have to struggle hard. But that success is the real success, I believe, because it is on your own. You have built your future, or rather you are in the process of, learning things on your own. Sometimes you might feel that this decision was not right. You would have taken a different step. The journey through these trials are very difficult. Though difficult, but it's very challenging for a first generation lawyer.
So, ma'am, with these challenges that someone is to face with the time to come, what would be your suggestion, or rather series of advices that you would provide for someone who's about to enter this profession?
I would suggest all the newcomers to believe in one tagline, that is, there is no second option for a hard work. And the first generation lawyer, though faces more challenges, but their success is the ultimate success.
And ma'am, also, this is one additional idea that I would like to pitch in. So let's say for a person who's just coming into this field, there's always this dilemma among us whether to choose litigation or whether to go to the professional side of things, academia per se. Is there a particular time period where we should make this differentiation clear in our mind, or what should be the route map for a person doing that?
See, once you are in your final years, you have to take the call whether you will go for the profession or you want to do a normal salaried job. This depends upon your approach towards your life, your approach towards your career. All these things matters. So I believe before passing out, you should, in your final year at least, take this decision that what you want to do exactly in life.
So ma'am, another important question which is often asked by the first gens is that in the initial years, mostly we are standing behind a senior, assisting that senior, or we are not really getting our own cases or an opportunity to have our own identity per se. So how are we bridging this gap, or what can we do to bridge this gap?
See, never even think that you are just standing in a court. Standing in a court and during watching matters, you're learning many things, like the court crafts, how to address the court, how the seniors manage the court in a difficult situation. These are all the things you are learning while you are standing in a court. Sometimes many case laws are being referred. You can take note of those case laws. Many a times, if you have a question, if you are unable to understand a term, you can note it down. And later when you go to chamber, you can discuss it with your senior. So never ever think that you are idly sitting in court during your initial days of practice.
Right. And ma'am, then one last thing that comes to my mind is, so every advocate eventually chooses an area of specialization where they truly function upon. Now, for a first generation, when they already have a very little choice in hands to do what they want or what not, is this choice of specialization something that they have a free independent will to choose from, or it is developed through mere survival tactics?
See, there are two main key points of this also. First, what are your interests? So when you start doing your own matters, people will see, solicitors, other clients, they will see you doing a matter, and eventually you also grow interest. You also grow interest in which field you want to be specialized. A person doesn't specialize automatically in a field.
Correct.
Sometimes some kind of matter starts coming to you. A similar kind of matters, eventually you become specialized in that matter. Or sometimes you yourself have a interest in particular one subject. Then you start doing that matter, or rather you start studying, researching on that particular subject. Then doing matters years after years, you become the specialized on that particular field.
So it's also a matter of interest and also a matter of availability.
Yes, obviously.
So both come together.
And for both, your chamber practice is very important. from which chamber you are belonging to. Few chambers are specialized on certain subjects. So it depends upon which chamber you are belonging to, what is your interest, and which kind of matter you are doing and which kind of matters you are getting also.
Right. So, ma'am, about the last thing about the chamber practice. So, there is one question mark that comes because when coming into litigation, we have a thing about chamber practice and independent practice, and we also have a thing about in-house counseling and going into law firms. So, for an individual to choose one set of identity, what would you say would be the most determining factor that should drive their choice?
See, chamber practice is very important. Either you come in this profession or you go for any law firm, your initial chamber days are very important, because there you learn how to address the court, how to draft a petition. Unless and until you will get the guidance of your senior, you will not be able to understand what are the flaws in your drafting, or while you are doing a matter, what are the things you should improve. So these are the things you need a mentor, and the senior is that mentor.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for giving us a view, for understanding and taking up the advices put forward by our respected guest today, Advocate Piyali Sengupta. And also, I genuinely and sincerely hope that you are taking something good out of this interview. You are taking something didactic out of the words said by respected ma'am, and that you stay tuned for all other episodes that are to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you.